Alright. What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy White Album here. Welcome back to some more Witch on the Holy Night. Last time we left off, Alice let out an egg of monstrous size and proportions, so we're gonna see what comes about it. No announcements or anything, so let's just get right into it. Was I here? Ah, here we go. Whoa. Of course, the destruction did not end with just the breadmen. Setting bricks flying, the previously paved road was now bare. The nearby stall had turned into a skeleton of steel beams. Oh. It was a spectacle that made Sojiro question which force, the wall of breadmen or Aoko's ability to lay waste to things, would obstruct their path more.
ちょっと、なんで距離取るのよ、そこ。そばにいないと危ないじゃない。
Hey, don't wander off. It's dangerous if you don't stick close to me.
ほら、もっとこっち。
Come on, get closer.
言っとくけど、あんたがあいつらに囲まれちゃったらアウトよ。私、人質とか意味ないタイプだし、そもそも区別して撃つとか、そういうのできないし。
We're out of strikes, you know? If this around you, you're a goner. You should know, hostages don't mean squat to me, and it's not like I can pick out my targets precisely anyway. This made a lot of sense to Sojiro. He had not fully appreciated the part about hostages, but he got the gist of it.
つまり、今はどこであろうと危険なのか。
So basically, I'm in danger no matter where I stand.
あんたね。
You... Offended, though she was, by his typical naive response, she could not help but be impressed. Sojiro was a straight arrow through and through. His eyes stayed firmly focused on the egg overhead, even amidst the chaos of the melee unfolding before him.
その分なら安心か。
I don't know why I worried.
物分かりは悪いけど、一度言われたことはきっちり守るあたり、あなたのいいところよね。
You may not be the sharpest tool, but you sure are good at following orders.
そんなことより青崎、俺の気のせいならいいんだけど、さっきのパン、硬くなかったか？
One thing, Aozaki. Was I imagining things? Or did those breadmen seem tougher than before? As I was saying, I was trying to think of like a tool in a shed that would be, even though it's like pretty blunt, still kind of useful. The only thing that came on was a hammer, right? That's technically a blunt instrument, but it's in a shed. I don't think... I don't know. I was thinking of like a pitchfork or something like that, like a machete. I don't know, a shovel is pretty blunt, but also it could be pretty pointy. I don't know.
まあね、あいつら少しずつ強くなってきてるわ。
No, you weren't imagining that. They're getting stronger.
大量生産が軌道に乗ったんで、今度はクオリティアップをテーマにしたのかも。
They must have nailed down their mass production process, so they turned their attention to upping the quality. Well, that shit went
しずきくんでもお察しの通り、ここからは手強くなっていく一方よ。あのパンたちでさえ個体差が出てきたみたいだし。
As you figured out already, they're just going to get tougher as we go. It seems like even those bread guys have started to develop individuality.
考えたくないけど、そのうちジャム塗ったりレタス乗っけたり、果ては合体したりして。
I hate to think about it, but they might just start spreading themselves with jelly or wearing other fillings and merging with one another. What is the advantage of rubbing jelly on yourself? Like it's sticky or something like that? I don't know. Though she was joking, her eyes were dead serious. Sojiro shuddered at the thought of the situation growing even more dire.
じゃあ、そのうちミラーハウスの人形ぐらいに怖くなるのか、あいつら。
So you're saying that those guys are going to become as terrifying as the puppet from the House of Mirrors soon?
間違いなくね。そこまでレアなパンになったら、私も自分だけで手一杯になる。ところでしずきくん、ああいうのと喧嘩できる？
Sorry. Oh, you can count on it. And I've had my hands full of bread that rare, says Suzuki. Wait, what? I read that wrong. And I'll have my hands full with bread that rare. Say, Suzuki, think you can handle yourself against one of those? Probably not. I just realized, why does he have 3 pockets on his pants? Wait. What? Okay, he probably has 2 normal pockets, but then he has 2 like normal, like I guess cargo pockets. But then there's like a 3rd one there. What reason would you need that 3rd one for?
でしょ？なら急ぎましょう。いろいろ余裕ないんだから。
Oh, I completely missed that sentence there. Sojiro shook his head, a look of complete aversion upon his face. I didn't think so. So let's get moving. We can't afford to hang around here. Aoko took a quick, deep breath, then began to sprint once more. Far in the distance, through the fog, the iron fence waited 300 paces away. As long as nothing happened, they would make it there in one piece. It's real. Sojiro followed after Aoko, holding on to the all-too-convenient hope. I mean, whatever Mr. Humpty Dumpty there is about to fucking do, right? Alright, here we go. But hope was something over-fleeting, or ever-fleeting. It lasted not even 300 yards. The edge of the amusement park may well have been the edge of the world. Ooh, well, cityscape. Wait, we're in the city now? For what reason? Oh, never mind. Huh. Alright, what a peculiar situation to be in. Quite the predicament, right? Dozens of undulating? I guess. Dozens of undulating. Fuck, that doesn't sound right to me. Sorry, guys. Dozens of undulating horizons could be seen, crowding the sky like a giant cloud or a thick curtain, or perhaps groaning lips. It was the end of the road, the outer limit of the outrageous and fantastical realm, and yet Aoko found it to be much like the last page of an enormous picture book. She's like, something wrong here. Something don't feel right. The sight turned her mind blank. Well, this is as bad as it gets, she thought. The Snark, this island of despair, had at last brought Aoko to her knees as she stared at the swelling border. And then the puppet comes, and then they fuse, and boom, there she gets red hair. I'm still waiting for it to happen, man. I don't know how deep I am into this game, but alright, here we go. The park, indeed, had an end. Even now, as Aoko and Sojiro had expected it to be, a fence divided the amusement park from the residential area neighboring it. It had both doubled in height and had made sturdier. Another hurdle she had foreseen before even laying eyes on it. Expecting it to have been snarkified, Aoko had come prepared to demolish an obstacle or two. But this construction before her went far beyond a mere wall. Yeah, it's like moving. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just an illusion of the of the snark world. It was an ocean that separated the underworld from the mortal one. The iron fence was like a restless, surging sea. 1 or 2 walls could be easily toppled. Even 10 or 20 could be dealt with one way or another. Oof, excuse me. Between the power left in her body and that which filled the park, putting on a brave front was within her power. She could fully mobilize her circuits and her crest to the point of burnout in a last-ditch effort, like some reenactment of the parting of the Red Sea.
でも、それで終わり。
Did you know that in Beyblade lore, Moses parted the Red Sea with a fucking Beyblade? I'm not even joking. That's actually real. Look it up. Alright, here we go. But then, that would be it. Even if a path could be opened, she would not have the energy left to walk it. It was obvious that what would become of her afterward. The residents would hardly forgive her for wreaking such havoc around their park. Like ants drawn to honey, they would swarm the helpless girl and tear her to pieces. Despondent and exhausted, she felt the faint sting of remorse. Escaping the park. Looking back on how they had gone here, Aoko recognized that her choices had been her undoing. Under the golden full moon, beams of steel bent and merged like wire-frame sculptures. It was only a matter of time before the amusement park itself became one colossal monster, The horde of familiars, gathered in a plaza where Alice was, had formed an impenetrable blockade around her. Just above the head of the boy beside her, the whispering egg, called Scratch Dumpty, continued to shuffle what appeared on the surface. Scratch Dumpty?
Aozaki!
I'm just gonna call it Dumpty. Aozaki!
Shizuki-kun.
Shizuki? The boy's voice snapped Aoko out of her trance, if only for a moment. The stark reality of the situation quickly dawned on the novice mage. The sheer hopelessness of it all, as it ripped out and snatched away any will she had to resist.
ゲートに行こう。ここはどうしようもないけど、入り口ならもうちょっとマシだろ。
Let's head for the gate. It's hopeless here, but we might have a chance at the entrance.
フラットスナークだっけ？こいつにもルールがあるって言ったじゃないか。
That flat snark thing. You said it was its own set of rules to follow, right?
なら、これは役割の問題だ。初めから鉄柵は通れない壁だけど、ゲートなら出入り口として機能しているかもしれない。
Then we need to think about the basics. The fence would have been impassable from the start, but the gate might still work as an exit and entrance. Sojiro had not given in to panic. Aoko found herself honestly admiring Sojiro's ability to analyze Snark's characteristics, given the circumstances. Now calm, she steeled her resolve.
そうね。確かに門はあると思う。
You're right. The gate is a good option.
けど、たどり着くのは難しいわ。一番弱かった焼きたてパンですら、今はもうあれだもの。
But just getting there will be a challenge. Even the weakest enemies, those loaves, are becoming hard to deal with. Literally
広場
becoming
や
hard.
入り口には、もっと上等なのがたむろしてるだろうし、門だって、あの観覧車以上の怪物かもしれない。確か、大きなキッツィちゃんだったでしょ、正門って。
Plus, the best of her familiars are just going to keep gathering at the plaza and the entrance. I mean, the gate itself might be a monster even worse than the Ferris wheel. It's designed to look like a giant kitsy.
青崎はゲートには行かないのか。
So you're not going to the front gate?
まあね。それよりこっちの方が現実的だし。
Nah, we have a better chance over here. Huh? Aoko took another glance at the undulating iron fences. It was too late to achieve their goal of making out alive. In that case, she decided to prioritize the other promise she had made.
今からこの鉄
She
柵を
just
壊
punches
す
a
か
hole
ら、
right through his
あ
chest.
なたはそこから外に出て。
I'm gonna go ahead and break down the fences here. You have to escape once you see an opening.
それで、私の役割はおしまいよ。
Then, my job will be done.
Oh.
Hold on real quick. Are we forgetting about the puppet? Is the puppet, like, completely dead? Or did, when Alice brought the park back to life, did it, like, I don't know, like, resurrect it in some sort of way? I'm assuming. Oh, I'm trying to think. I don't think it would completely rebuild the castle again. So I don't know. Just a thought. Though her words were few, her tone told the whole story. She was telling him to escape by himself.
信じられない。
It's not possible.
こんなの、青崎だけじゃ壊せないだろ。
You can't destroy them by yourself, Alzaki.
私だけならね。でも、今はこの遊園地が味方してる。燃料がこれだけあるんだから、私は重心になるだけでいいんだし。一発でかいのお見舞いしてやるわ。
If I were by myself, you'd be right. But right now the park is actually helping me. With this much fuel, all I need to do is aim and pull the trigger. All it needs is one good blast.
それでも一回が限度だから、穴を開けたら、あんたには全力で走り抜けてもらうしかないけど。
That said, I'll only be able to do it once, so as soon as I open a hole, I need you to run like your life depends on it. I mean, it really does depend on it, so... She would carve a path through the iron fence, or fuck, let me restart. She would carve a path through this iron sea of fences. Gambling on one final effort, a great incantation to launch a massive projectile that pushed her limits to the extreme. Did she forget that this motherfucker carried her, like, twice when she was being chased by a fucking puppet? Okay. As an outsider, Sojiro could not even begin to imagine just how much of a burden this would be for her. All he could imagine was a hazy vision of Aoko being left behind in this park. What would happen to her? She'd probably fucking die. Would that girl in black come to save her? Probably not. Cruel as it is to imagine, he knew she would not. It's like I just said. After Aoko had exhausted her very best in order to save him, that girl would not stay her hand. The only way Alice would let Aoko off the hook was if Aoko killed Sojiro as payment. And so,
20メートルぐらい離れてて。
get back about 50 feet.
準備に手間取るけど、その卵の表面が茹で上がるまでには終わらせるから。
It'll take time to cast, but I'll make sure to finish this before that egg gets hard boiled. It went without saying that this was the only path.
待ってくれ。俺を逃がすって言うけど、それに意味はあるのか、青崎。
Wait, I want to know. Is there even a point to letting me go?
ないけど、外に出られたところでアリスから逃げ切れるとは思えないし。
Move to another country. That's one way, right? None. Even if you once get out, there's no way you'll be able to escape Alice forever.
けど、
Move to another country.
これぐらいは最後の意地よ。守るって言ったんだから、できるところまでやらないと。
But I'm stubborn to the very end. I said I'd protect you, so I'm damn well going to do my best to keep you alive. Even if it's very futile. Surprised by his seemingly moral stance, Sojiro saw Aoko in a new light. But of course, Sojiro realized that she was not fighting for his sake, but for the sake of her pride.
そうだったな。
Right. I guess you did say that.
けど、それなら俺だけ逃がすのはらしくないぞ。
But it's not like you to let me go by myself.
何よ。いいから離れてて。
Oh, give me a break. Just move already. For some reason, Aoko took a step away from him. She was recalling how an hour ago he had gotten the better of her.
青崎、まだ意地を張れるんなら、他のことをやろう。
Aozaki, if you're still willing to fight, then let's do this some other way.
このお化けみたいな鉄柵を壊せるなら、他に壊すべきものがあるはずだ。
If you can destroy that monster of a fence, then let's put your power to better use.
ないわよ。悪いけど、私は目に見えるものしか壊せないの。最後まで形のない希望にすがるとか、考えるのも寒気がする。
There isn't anything else I can do. Sorry, but all I can do is destroy what I can see. Dying for some forlorn hope isn't how I want to go out.
いい？今はフラットスナークなんかより、この壁を壊してあんたを足抜けさせるのが私の現実。私に負える最大限の責任って。
Don't you get it? The fact is, blowing this thing up will let you slip out is all I can manage. I can't beat Flat Snark or anything else. It's the least I can do after...
逃げるのか。
So you're gonna run from this responsibility too? Aoko was just about to turn her back on him when Sojiro clutched her hand. His words caused something inside her to boil with rage. It was as though someone had set her heart on fire. The surprise that pricked open her true feelings and the disappointment she felt toward herself thawed her frozen limbs.
誰が逃げるのはそっちで、逃がしてあげるのはこっちだって言うのよ。甘く見ないで。いざとなったら遊園地ごと爆破してみせるわ。
Why you? Don't you get... Wait. Don't get it backward. I'm the one letting you escape, not the other way around. I'll blow this whole damn park if I feel like it. Just you watch.
そうか。
He's like, that's the
な
plan.
ら、ここで俺を逃がすのは無駄だな。
Okay. In that case, it'd be a waste to help me escape right now.
その気迫は本命のために取っておこう。それまでは俺も手伝うから。
Hold on, let me adjust my headphone for a second. Yeah. There we go. Save that move for when you really mean it. I'll give you a hand until then.
は？手伝う？それこそ無駄な気遣いよ。
Huh? You help me? Talk about a waste of time.
玉木田、いいから逃げろバカ。 だいたい走り詰めで息も絶え絶えなやつなんか使えないわよ。
Now you're really pissing me off. Just get out of here, you dimwit. Dimwit. That's an insult I haven't heard in forever. What use do I have for a dunce whose special power is running himself ragged?
そりゃいい加減ヘトヘトだけど、
I may be pretty exhausted,
そういう青崎なんか疲れ以上に傷の方が傷んでるだろ。
but you're in worse shape, Aozaki. Just look at yourself. You're tired and injured. Not to mention the injury to her back that Aoko had nearly forgotten about. Even now, she couldn't ignore the pain that the automaton had inflicted on her spine. The iron will, she managed to push it out of her mind, mostly.
ほら、魔術とか抜きにすればまだ俺の方がマシじゃないか。入り口までおぶっていくことぐらいならなんとか。
Even without any of that magecraft stuff, I'm still in better shape than you are. I could probably even carry you all the way to the entrance if I needed to.
できないことは口にしないで。
Don't make promises you can't keep. I'm pretty sure he did it twice. Once or twice, I don't remember, but come on now.
もういいから言って。慣れているもの、私は。でもあなたは違う。こういうの初めてでしょ。
Just go. I'm used to this, and you're not. This is your first time facing with this sort of thing, right?
だからいいの。
So it's okay. The fact that they were a team, the fact that she would still have to kill him after all this, none of the irony was lost on her as she said these words, because none of it all mattered anymore. Still, Sojiro didn't let go of her hand. He gripped it even harder. His expression was the same as ever. Aoko frowned, trying to figure out if he was upset with her.
確かにこういうのは初めてだ。
You're right. This is my first time with this sort of
け
thing.
ど山じゃ危険な目ぐらい合ってる。鹿に襲われたことだってあるんだぞ、俺は。
But I've experienced my own fair share of danger in the mountains. I've even been attacked by a deer, you know. Yeah, deer will fuck you up, bro. I'm not even joking. As a city girl, she had no idea what it meant to be attacked by a deer. But his determination was apparent enough. True. Looking back on it now, he had maintained his composure through it all. A normal person would be able to talk through such panic. Perhaps growing up deep in the mountains, far from civilization, had taught him how to stay calm in the face of so much.
だから信じてくれ。少しでいいから。
So trust me, just a little, because if you don't, this is where the story ends. He spoke in his plain, unadulterated feelings, and released his hand. There was no lie in him. In fact, he was too honest, so much so that she found it hard to believe him. Sojiro had no reason to go that far. As it stood, Aoko had no future. After confessing this and telling him to escape, why did this boy still offer to help a person like her?
わからない。どうしてそこまでするの？
I don't understand. Why do all this? Because he's waiting for your red hair just like I am.
私に付き合えばあなたは死ぬのよ。
You're going to die if you stay with me.
これが最後だから、ちゃんと考えてよね。あなたはここで逃げるべきよ。
This is it. This is your last chance. Think it through. You should be running.
それはわかるよ。でも行かない。
I know, but I'm not going anywhere. Sojiro answered immediately, realizing that Aoko was looking for his reason. This level of insight in Sojiro demanded a round of applause.
そうすると青崎が死んでしまいそうだ。
If I do, you'll die, Aozaki. His words were as irrational as ever.
だから、どうしてそこまでするのよ、あんたは！
But why? Why do it? Why go so far from me? She was yelling out of frustration. After thinking for a moment, Sojiro replied,
そりゃ君が好きだからだろ。
I guess it's because I like you. Simple and to the point. His face seemed to ask why she would even question him so. There was a pause. No more than 2 seconds. His surprise attack had stopped Aoko in her tracks. Alice was not the only one who had an ace up her sleeve. That line reached deeper even than Flat Snark could ever hope. All Aoko could respond with was an expression of pure shock. It was a simple, stubborn reason, the strongest kind on Earth. Well, I mean, besides Alice and maybe Tobimaru, who else do you have as a friend, Aoko? So when you got the one guy that's like, shit, I'll hang out with you, you know? Unfortunately, you had to kill the poor bastard, or attempt to so far, and it's failing. Sojiro Suzuki was indeed incomprehensible. To be able to work unconditionally with someone who was trying to kill him. But she felt as though she had finally grasped a sliver of his true nature. Tobimaru the other assessment of him was correct, as vexing as it was to her to admit.
バカね。私はあなたのこと嫌いなのに。
Even though I can't stand you, you sure are a dip, you know? Like what, dipshit? That's what I think when I hear dip. Or like, I don't know, like skull, or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know, I don't do tobacco. He laughed at her sour grumbling. At this point, he was so used to her insults. Their clash of wills ended here. Aoko's blood ran hot from her blazing heart. If he was going to make a face like that, all she could do was try to think of a way to get them both home.
ま、私だって逃げっぱなしは性に合わないし。
Running away isn't really my thing anyway.
いいわよ。最後まで粘ってみる。それにしずきくんが付き合ってくれるなら、何かの役には立つでしょ。
Fine. I'll stick it out to the end. And if you're going to stay with me, Suzuki, I'm sure we could find some way for you to help. Though her tone had lightened, there was still hesitation in her eyes. It was only natural. Aoko had not even a clue as how to begin to fight the Snark. You're also forgetting about the fucking egg that's hovering over his head right now. Excuse me. If only she had been a bit more skilled, or had trained just a bit more, there might have been some way to look for it.
我ながら情けない。せめて正体を暴く手がかりでもあればいいんだけど。
I'm better than this. If only I had a way to peel back its true form. Without realizing, she let her apprehension show. Whining was pointless. She would have to figure it out by herself. But the egg.
なんだ、正体さえ分かればいいのか?
What? That's all we need to figure out. And like, what if he was like, yeah, it was that thing the whole time, bro? She would probably sock him through the fence. Huh? Aoko gave him a look, as if to ask what that was supposed to mean.
いや、だからおかしなものはどれかってことだろ?
I mean, you asked me earlier to look for something weird, right? Sojiro also made a face that suggested that she should have brought it up sooner.
わかるのあんた。
Wait, you know what it is?
多分。いや、結構前から気になっていたんだけど。
I think so. Well, I've been wondering about it for a while now, actually. Sojiro whispered in her ear quietly, so not as to be overheard. Well, that doesn't fucking help me in this situation. It was certainly unexpected, but then again, equally obvious. After he explained the mistake, she knew right away that he was correct. At last, she had an inkling of Flat Snark's original form, namely... Ooh, namely what? I think we're about to find out. Maybe not. Oh. Let me guess, it's the egg. The egg. Oh, they set there for another... Okay, so how long has it been? So it's 10 minutes that they were fighting earlier. Another 10 minutes now, so it's been what, like maybe 20, 30 minutes? I guess that we've been running through this entire park. Alright, I guess. They strategized for 10 minutes. After deliberation regarding the Snark's true form, and figuring out a plan of attack, the two exchanged nods in acceptance of their roles.
それじゃあ、ここからは別行動ね。
Alright, you be the powerhouse and I will be the distraction. Let's go. We'll be splitting up now.
でも、ミラーハウスの時みたいなのは勘弁してよ。この作戦の肝はあなたなんだから。開始1分でドジったら、本当に打つ手なしだからね。
Just don't make it a repeat of the blunder in the House of Mirrors. That wasn't his fault. You're the crux of this operation. If you bungle the start, even a little, there's no coming back from this one. I mean, again, to be fair, that wasn't his fault. The puppet was aiming after you, Aoko. That was you were its main target, and it was just like, I don't really care for this dude. I need to go after the person I'm really here for. So I'll give Sojiro that little bone there, you know. Though she jabbed him for his previous failure as a decoy, her voice was bright. Aoko's original vigor had returned to her as Sojiro's discovery of the truth. Meanwhile, Sojiro was also getting serious in his own way. He took Aoko's warning to heart.
ならいいけど。いい？さっきと立場は反対よ。
Good, but remember that our positions are reversed this time.
失敗したら死ぬのは私じゃなくてそっち。もうフォローに回れないから、できるだけ慎重にね。
If we fail, I'm not the one who's going to die. It's you. I won't be there to clean up your mess, so watch your step.
わかってる。今更ながら、やっぱりさっき逃がしてもらえばよかったと思うぐらい慎重だ。
I know. After all this, I regret not taking your advice earlier. I'll be careful. Sojiro nodded, telling her to leave it to him. Though he made it sound like he was holding a grudge, it seemed to him to be the only way of showing her his resolve. Aoko let a sigh of defeat. Once more, she couldn't figure him out.
ほんと、大バカなんだか大物なんだか。
Seriously, I can't tell if you're a big idiot or a big hero.
でも任せた。期待してるわ、しずきくん。
Whichever one it is, I'm counting on you. Don't let me down. She had wanted to say that she believed in him, but apparently that was too embarrassing for her. She's like, no. Aoko turned away from Sojiro and began to run. She had begun to think that maybe this change of pace was not so bad after all. And so ended the intermission. The young cast were handed their new lines. But what of the climax? At long last, this night of witches had entered its climax. Like Bayonetta. That's what they call it there. I mean, the big old finishing move is called a climax. For reasons to that game, I won't explain.
あの二人が。
They split up? You sure? She was filled with foreboding at the Robin's report. Apparently, they had gone in opposite directions. The park's resident had set off after the boy witness. It would take them mere minutes to capture him, so the bird said.
どういうこと？追いかけているのは本当に彼。青子が変装しているのではなく。
What do you mean? Is it actually him they're following? Not Oko in disguise? What about the fucking egg? The robin flapped its wings, chirping away any doubt. It had seen them with its own two eyes. Aoko was heading for the plaza, and the cocky brat was making a run for the roller coaster. Why? He's not cocky. What the hell? Come on now, you dumb little fucking bird.
青子が彼を見捨てたですって。
Are you saying that Aoko abandoned him? Oh, I don't know if you just heard my brother yelling, but he's playing
そんな
Overwatch
簡
at the
単な
moment.
ことならいいけど。ダンプティは彼に張り付いているの？
Dumpty. It sounds a little too good to be true. Is Dumpty still on his tail? The robin nodded enthusiastically. It didn't know about the other birds, but with its superior night vision, it had seen that sucker clearly because he had moved to a high point. I just want this bird to have a voice now. This bird deserves a voice actor. What the hell? And Dumpty?
最後まで歌わせろ。こんな褒め殺したい間抜けはまたとない。ですって。
He said to let him sing to the very end, that he may never get a chance to do it again, or the chance again to do so for a fool this asinine. Scratch Dumpty was a ticking time bomb that would drop and detonate the moment his target averted its gaze. That is, as long as his target continued to observe him, in a way, he was a gentlemanly, there you go, ploy kickshaw. Though Alice wished he would forego such niceties when in battle. Well, maybe she shouldn't have deployed him. The fuck?
視線を切らないだけでは ダンプティからは逃げられない。表面の死が完成すれば扉が開く。
Let him have his fun. Keeping an eye on Dumpty won't save the boy anyways. Once the poem on his surface is complete, the door will open. Okay, first of all, stop calling him a boy. You're like the same fucking age as him. Like, this is a real life moment for me. There's a pet peeve in my life. I hate when people call me kid. It's like, bro, I'm fucking 25 and you're calling me a kid. Like, if you're older than me by like 10 years, then sure, go ahead. But I don't know, there's something about like younger people calling me kid that just unbridled rage, brother. I have no clue why. I just hate it so much. Especially back when I was like in high school. Like a couple of my friends would bug me about it, but hey. That's just how it is, right?
彼がどこまで逃げようと、あと少しでダンプティがしまってくれるわ。
No matter how far he runs, Dumpty will end him for us. I'm getting along on water. Oh no. Until the park, or rather the Snark, was destroyed, Sojiro would not be able to escape, which meant the larger concern was Aoko. Aoko had promised to protect the boy, which begs the question, where was she running to?
ここにいる限り、青子の動向はつかめない。
As long as we stay here, we can't track Aoko. Alice looked out over the park, ignoring the robin's attempt to get her attention with its plumage. Flat Snark had nearly reached its full size. It was a different breed of beast compared to the other cheap ploys. To her, it was one of her three most irreplaceable and precious familiars.
そうね。任せたわ、スナーク。青子が諦めない以上、あなたも手は抜かないで。
I was gonna say, will we ever get to see her other two? Probably not. God damn, how long is this game? I'm thinking about it. I'm already like 16 parts in. Alright, but here we go. Yes, she's all yours, Snark. Don't hold back until Aoko is brought to her knees. Alice remained where she was. With the same historical merit as the troll under the bridge and the poison-clawed reptile, Flat Snark was one of Alice's ultimate ploys. Probably not for long. She was placing her trust in its reputation and ability. Again, it probably won't last that
でも
long.
忘れないで。これはゲームよ。
But don't forget, this is a game.
勝敗がついたのなら、私のところに帰ってきて。
When the contest is over, return to me. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. The drifting fog ignored its master's words. Yeah, again, he's like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. It was the one thing that Alice had misread. Flat Snark was a king, even among the other ploys, of terrible, vulgar antics. Death to the defeated, gruesome tragedy to the vanquished. It found no pleasure unless it brought about total ruination of life and wealth. The fog billowed like wicked laughter. Man, I fucked that line up. After all, only a king had the right to decide the fate of the vanquished, and the Snark's greed cannot be contained. Thus, it hadn't even the slightest intent to play fair, despite its master's orders. Okay. Meanwhile, is she just standing on top of... Oh my gosh, she is. Over 100 feet high. One careful step at a time, the figure made its way up gingerly. Wait, what? The figure made its way gingerly up the track, stretching into the heart of the amusement park. She's like, oh, okay, this is probably a bad idea. Oh wait, no, it's fucking Sojiro. He stayed his beating chest and the pounding of his breath. Even tiny movements were an obstacle to his progress. Amazingly, the one making this pale-face advances higher and higher was Sojiro Suzuki. Far below, he saw a horde of bread creatures had congregated by the roller coaster platform. As they bustled this way and that, their numbers continued to increase by the minute, seemingly cheering on Sojiro with raised arms as he made his descent. Do a backflip! or jeered him more like, beckoning him to come down.
助かった。あれ、高いところは苦手なんだ。
Well, at least they don't like heights. Hey, them and I both. Of course, Sojiro neither did. Wait, what? Of course, Sojiro neither did Sojiro. I guess it was supposed to say, of course, neither did Sojiro. But his current state was the lesser of two evils. The only thing that followed him now was the floating egg. After heaving a huge sigh, Sojiro bent forward a bit and climbed the track that reached to the heavens. 150 feet now. If this were a skyscraper, he would be on the 16th floor. Ooh, what's happening? A strong gust of wind whipped through his hair. Humans had an instinctual fear of heights, and lightning, or thunder, or just loud noises in particular. What it was, a place like this, which called forth visions of falling to one's death, would cause one person's knees to tremble against their will. It was an instinct that forewarned death, urging its master to return safely to the ground. It was a reasonable reaction. Climbing to the roller coaster tracks went beyond funny stories and into the realm of fantasy. The strong winds and their changing air pressure were a hindrance. His instincts screamed at him to stop, causing his limbs to go numb, his muscles to go limp, and his mind to race. Even if he had been tied to a lifeline, a mere 15 feet of climbing would still have caused his thoughts to freeze out of sheer terror. And it would only get worse from here. Exponentially so. Every foot forward increased the load on both his mind and his body by another degree.
Yosh.
Maybe his ears popping too. I can do this. Just a little bit more to the top. The burden on his mind, notwithstanding, he carefully measured the toll on his body with every step. His legs, which had carried him running this far, threatened to buckle the moment he let his guard down. This fatigue was likely why Aoko had stressed that Sojiro's role was more dangerous than hers.
待てよ。逆を言うと、疲れてなければなんとかなると思ってたんだよな、青崎は。
Wait, would Ozaki have been so worried if I wasn't tired? Who knows? Yeah, you can't look at me like that, my guy, when you're standing on top of like an almost 200 feet tall fucking roller coaster. But okay. Well, I guess he's technically looking at the egg. Sojiro laughed as he stared at the floating egg. There you go. He reflected on the course of events that had led to this absurd situation. Not even 10 minutes ago, they had been engaged in conversation. Oh, are we going to reveal what the formula is?
正体が分かった以上、あとはどう壊すかを話し合いましょう。
Okay, since we know what form it's taken, we need to talk about how we're going to destroy it. Sojiro felt a shudder travel down his spine at Aoko's smug grin. In hindsight, Aoko had been more than happy at this point to make him do something absurd.
どう壊すかって、それなら。
So by destroy it, you mean we're going to... Sojiro had spoken up, figuring that he was about to say was silly, especially considering Aoko had the magecraft to tear clean through the fence. Furthermore, up till now, he had not once offered his insight as to the true form of the flat snark, only due to his belief that there was nothing they could have done about it, even if they were the wiser. But that changed. For Aoko, the impossible is quite literally within her grasp.
そうでもないわ。私の目算だと、あと50メートル分、ギリギリで届かない。
I know what you're going to say. And no, by my estimate, I wouldn't get within 150 feet of the thing. Okay, that makes sense why it's 50 feet, 150 feet in the air. Despair filled Sojiro's eyes. Aoko lifted a hand to her long hair, and with the magical energy in her fingertip, cut a clean tuft from her head.
足りない分は努力と根性ってね。
Not if we make up the difference with some elbow grease.
あなたはできるだけ高いところまで逃げて。頃合いを見て合図を出すから。そうしたらこれを空に放ってくれる？しずきくんの役目はそれだけでいいから。
Get to the highest place you can. When the time is right, I'll give you a sign. Just toss this into the air. That's all you need to do. But based on where Aoko pointed her gaze, she did not really mean to leave it up to Sojiro to pick the highest place he could find. Alka was staring conspicuously at one of the amusement park's two main attractions, the roller coaster.
つまり、青崎とは別行動をとって、あの怪物たちに追われながら、高いところに逃げ込めと。
So in other words, you're saying we split up, then you want me to go run away from the monsters chasing me, and escape to somewhere high, right?
そういうこと。ほら、あのうねうね動き出してるコースターのレールとか、よくない？
Exactly. And hey, wouldn't you know it? The tracks of that winding roller coaster are perfect. There were two demons in this park. Her smile made even Sojiro want to respond. That was far from perfect.
疑いたくはないんだが。
Far be me to question your motives here, but...
本当はあの子とグルで、俺を遠回しに殺そうとしてるんじゃないか。
You're not secretly working with that girl to kill me, are you?
あら、私に殺されるのならいいんでしょ？
Now, wasn't it you who said it was okay if I was the one who was killed? If I was the one who killed you?
人の出現を悪用するのは良くないと思う。
It's not nice to twist other people's words. Sojiro hung his head. This was not sane. Yeah, it's fucking insane. If he did as she said, he would die from exhaustion before Kitsy even had a chance to eat him.
私だって鬼じゃないわ。ほら、こっち向いて。
I'm not a monster. Hey, look at me.
おまじない、かけてあげる。
I'll cast a charm on you.
うん？
He's like, huh? It was the lightest of touches, close enough for their breath and skin to come in contact. That's a cool little animation. He finished with a hushed voice. For one of them, this was a rather mundane magecraft. For the other, it was a head-spinning sneak attack of intimacy.
軽く、弱く、うまく、早く。
Be light and frail, nimble and fast. The weight of the air, the tremble of one's breast.
チクタク、チクタク。急げや急げ。
Tick tock, tick tock. There's no time to waste. Light lags behind while shadows pull ahead. Words that cannot be produced by a normal larynx, carrying a particular weight to them, reverberated against his eardrums. If words were given colors, these would have been the color of her name, blue. Sojiro's exhausted body and burning blood gently cooled.
飛ぶ、泳ぐ、駆け抜ける。
Fly, swim, run. A bird in the sky, a fish in the sea. You in the distance.
チクタク、チクタク。汽笛を鳴らせ。
Tick tock, tick tock. Stuff about and anxiety in the sack, or in a sack. Sound the alarm. Begin the journey at dawn.
星はいつでも北の空。どこまでも、いつまでも。
The star is always in the northern sky, no matter where you go. A shining star falls in your heart. Fun fact, Polaris is a star that you can see every night, obviously at nighttime, and it has a pretty fancy name. Many people know it as the North Star. And it's pretty cool. I like to, whenever I do like astrophotography stuff, sometimes I like to gaze up that one too. But currently I'm trying to like take a picture of Libra, which is a constellation that only shows up in the I guess in the beginning of the year, which is the, I guess I would say more, I'd say winter. Like it's more of a winter constellation, that Virgo and Scorpius. Also, fun fact, in the lore between Orion and Scorpius, because they're mortal enemies, a cool thing is that they're actually never in the sky at the same time. So whenever you see Orion, Scorpius is never in the sky, but when you see Scorpius, you'll always see Orion. It's a cool little fun fact if you didn't know about that. In reality, it took but a few seconds. but the sudden contact had felt a little longer until it ended.
よし、暗示成功。成功したはず。ここまで手応えがあったの初めてだし。
Mesmerized successful, I think. This is the first time I've actually felt it take.
アリスの小言もたまには役に立つじゃない。
I guess all those lectures from Alice paid off. A very merry Aoko stood aside a very confused Sojiro. After he had asked what the heck had occurred, she responded.
簡単な暗示よ。一時的に恐怖心を消しておいたから、高いところに登っても平気なはず。
It's an elementary suggestion. I temporarily erased your sense of fear. So you should be able to climb up there with no problem.
あの手の作業で一番足を引っ張るのは動揺でしょ？
The biggest thing standing in your way is your nerves, right?
恐怖も何も感じなければ、地上何メートルだろうと、平均台とそう変わらないってわけ。
If you don't feel fear, then no matter how high you climb, it's no different from walking a balance beam. That's the face of a guy that's like, oh fuck. He seemed to get it, probably. It all actually sounded like Greek to Sojiro, but he accepted it as an explanation of her strange actions. Finally, I made it. He had arrived at the amusement park, or at the summit of the track, I meant to say. I completely fucked that up. At a height of nearly 200 feet, Sojiro had a bird's eye view of the entire amusement park. He was able to spot Aoko's figure right away. In the plaza not so far from here, she seemed to be occupied with something conspicuous. Her surroundings lay still. The breadmen were still busy trying to figure out how to reach Sojiro by trial and error from the roller coaster's entrance. They had over 300 feet of distance to cover.
汗をかくはずだ。こんなに移動したのか。
No wonder I'm drenched in sweat. Look how much ground I've covered. The strong winter gales quickly dried the sweat on his brow, but he was drenched underneath his shirt. This much sweat was worth at least half a mile run, not to mention all the scares he had experienced throughout the night.
でもよかった。あとは合図を待つだけだ。
Okay, and all I have to do is wait for the signal. He felt a wave of relief, but not at the thought of Aoko destroying the Snark and this nightmarish park. He was simply happy that he could repay a bit of his debt from the House of Mirrors. There it is. A blue bullet rose from the plaza where Aoko was located. That's the signal. Sojiro stood atop the tracks, pulled out the patch he stowed in his pocket, and tossed it forward. Without any regard of his questionable footing, he gave it a mighty overarm pitch. The small pouch drew a parabolic curve in Aoko's direction, quickly becoming untied in midair. Inside the bag was a lock of her hair and a small stone weight.
高いところから風に乗せてくれれば、あとは何とかするから。
Just throw it with the wind, from somewhere high up, and I'll take it from there. Aoko had said, but it was Sojiro's effort that had set the plan in motion. The tuft of hair remained airborne, drifting as if it were watching over its owner. Sojiro's job was done. Now you can stare at that egg, my man. He remained concerned about the egg hovering over him, but there was nothing he could do about it. Sojiro breathed a sigh of relief and leaned forward to watch the rest of the plan unfold. But then... In the corner of his eye, he spotted something familiar approaching Aoko. Ooh, is it the puppet? Are we finally getting something with the puppet? He said something familiar and it's not Alice, because let's be honest, he doesn't know what the hell she looks like. Or is it Kitsy, that big ass fucking cat thing? Routing set, connecting to Crest. This is animation, that's pretty nice. I like how she's like still figure, but then you have like the glyphs moving and shit. It's pretty sick.
ディレクト、1層、2層、予備に3層。
Direct current, first layer, second layer. Third layer in reverse.
魔力提供。体現に固定。
Magical energy supplied fixed to greater source.
循環よし。射角よし。術式安定。大まかよし。
Flow, check. Angle, check. Formula stability, good enough. A pattern began to carve itself into the brick street. The casting of an unprecedented incantation with unprecedented range. Keeping the rising tension contained within her chest, the fledgling mage snapped her fingers.
決めた。ツアープラン。スターマイン。
Done. Bullet configuration. Convergent launch. She kneeled at the center of the formula and raised her head at the night sky. Not even a glimpse of not even a glimpse of the transmogrified fantasy land around her entered her vision now. Transmogrified. That's not a word. That's not real. That's not real. Only one thing, one untouchable thing, was reflected in her blue eyes.
実はずっと気になっていたことが。
So this has been on my mind for a while now. This is how their conversation started a few minutes prior. Sujiro began with a simple statement of fact. In truth, it was really the simplest of discrepancies. Between the reality of an hour ago and the illusion of the present, a difference both infinitesimal and infinite at the same time. Man. They really like testing my fucking knowledge on words, right?
雲があったから勘違いしたんだろうけど。
Infinite test? I'm sorry. I thought maybe I didn't know what I was looking at because of the clouds. It was something hiding in plain sight. Something both seemingly impossible in reality and unusual given its location. In this amusement park, where every paragram has shifted, something was brazenly flaunting its normalcy. The moon?
今夜は新月なんだ、青崎。
Ha. Tonight is supposed to be a new moon, Aozaki. Oh god, is Aoka gonna blow up the fucking moon?
初めっからその形だったものね、あんたは。
What type of Star Wars shit is this? Yeah, come to think of it, that was its original form. The distance from the Earth to the moon was 238,900 miles. If it truly was identical to the actual moon, then this monster indeed lived up to its eerie reputation. A distance that far would have meant that it had no need to hide its form. It could flaunt its true form in front of all. But due to the very fact that it was hiding its true form, it meant it must have been within reach. That monster's camouflage implied that it sat within the reach of human hands.
こっちの最大射程はよくて600ってところだけど。
At my best, my max range is 650 yards or so. At this point, it was time to give it all she had. Drawing on the energy surging throughout the park, she extended her firing arm. A blue firework launched into the air. Oh, so she made like a mortar strike out of her fucking magic. That's pretty sick. Looking up at her hair dancing in the wind above, Aoko reached out her right hand as if to catch the night sky. A mage's own body made for the perfect catalyst. And for a female mage, the hair she had grown out over many years made for a particularly valuable and powerful source of fuel. To use it, all she had to do was apply her will. She locked the fingers on both her hands together and shouted,
三層展開全術式連結起動
Deploy third layer. All formulae commence linked activation. She hurled forth a clear challenge to bind the moon to herself. The mist began to whirl about in a vortex. The monster high above bore its fangs at the sight of the blue spell that appeared midair.
見抜かれたですって。
Did she figure it out? By the time Alice had noticed a change, the hostility between Aoko and the Snark was palpable.
そう。なら青子の勝ちよ。すぐに戻りなさい。
Very well. This round goes to Aoko. Return immediately. That's probably not gonna happen.
確かに雨雲を消したのはヒントの上げすぎだけど、それぐらいは多めに見て。スナーク？
Perhaps removing the rain clouds was too obvious of a hint, but I suppose one can't win them. Flat Snark? The fog continued to thicken with no sign of abating. The moon that had floated in the night sky could not pardon such an insolent mage. As if the Lord of the Night would bow down to such impudence. There was no staying its wrath at a challenge so flagrant. There you go.
スナーク！
Snack. The robin swooped in to give its report, but Alice waved it away. Her gaze was fixed on the transforming golden moon. Okay, they say it's golden, but it's fucking green. Her calls of restraint did not reach it. This fairy-tale monster was beholden to nobody, and it would have no qualms unleashing its vast might upon its puny prey. The core of her magic bullet howled. The magic circuits within her body spun. Aoko fed the magical energy, scorching her nerves with imaginary flame. She was linked to the formula inscribed on the ground. The spell was read and executed the same as it always was, but its output was beyond reckoning. With this much firepower, even this mundane process would invite injury upon its user. It was enough to burn up the nerves that were acting as the barrel.
でも、いける！
I can't do this. The imaginary heat had reached a terrifying temperature. Alice trembled, or Alice, fucking hell. Aoko trembled at this endless feeling, but would have to grin and bear it lest their efforts come to naught. Aoko could no longer move. When she had learned that the Snark's true form from Sojiro, she gave up on any superiority of a movable turret offered, instead opting to become a stationary cannon. That was the only way she could reach it. It was impossible to hunt the Snark unless she anchored her crest at this location and angle. At the same time, this location revealed that she was out of options. Once the fuse was lit, she would have no choice but to fight to the bitter end. Aoko took a deep breath. This was the way she wanted. Her preparations were complete. She would be able to deliver this maelstrom of magical energy directly to the moon, like a rocket payload. The third layer floating in midair served as the cannon's muzzle and sight. It would fire the magical energy once it reached critical lit. I know it's critical. Once it reached critical mass, there you go. And it allowed Aoko to adjust the angle of fire. Fog? The moon became warped with her within her scope. Ooh. As Aoko charged her magical energy, the ploy displayed its golden form as if to mock her. That's green. Come, worship the heavens, powerless scion of innocent bloodline. For there it was, a point among the otherworldly sky, a mystical visage obfuscated by jade mists and azure clouds. Called the greatest treasure known to the world of magecraft, a rarity more valuable than an entire kingdom, crowned phantasm. Oh shit, that looks fucking awesome. That's it. Flat Snark. Okay, now it's gold. It's like an upside down skull. Look at that. That's pretty sick. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Set apart from the very beginning, the world's greatest fabrication. Not yet. Just a little more time. Meanwhile, Her instincts screamed at her to delay no further. This fairy tale monster was the greatest of its kind, and its true form was about to be exposed. Its open hostility indicated that it was making preparations for a counterattack.
こっちはもう動けない。逃げを捨てての大栄翔。先に撃たれたらそこで終わりだ。
I can't move. Not with an incantation this large. If it attacks before me, it's all over. She had to shoot it down first. Magical energy was at 80%. The formula was operating normally. All that was left was to pull the trigger. But the calm voice inside her head asked if it was really okay. She had one shot at this, and there was no going back. It was a battle of precision, with no room for miscalculations. Even a tenth of a second of hesitation would tip the scales. Was she ready for the pain? Was she ready to deal with the fallout if she missed? If she could really even take down the moon with such a tiny bullet in the first place?
いい。とりあえず当たった後で考える。
Enough. Shoot first, ask questions never. Well, it's later, but... Her eyes, fixed upon the moon, were filled with determination. And an awareness that the moment she fired, the intense recoil would overwhelm her body, she shouted. Take this, you sack of shit.
上等。出し惜しみはなし。目いっぱいぶん回すわ。
Bring it on. I'm gonna send this thing spinning with all I've got. With every ounce of spirit she possessed, she fired her ultra-long-range projectile into the sky. The third layer embraced the magic bullet fired from the surface of the earth. The crest, an extension of Oko's self, unleashed the light to pierce the moon. However, what the fuck? An enormous blue canopy pulverized the beam. It returned the ether, that 3,000 degree flame, to nothing as it came in contact with the bullet. The recoil of the Grand Magecraft literally boiled her blood. Her body couldn't handle it. Her heart stopped. Her brain went numb from the pain and impact. Her nerves petrified from end to end. But her magic crest revived them all by force.
氷で防がれた。
Ice? It was blocked by ice? Even though her vision had gone white, she could still see it. Swallowing the blood in her mouth, Aoka looked up with a scowl. There it was. An enormous shield of ice and a sneering, deformed skull.
撃つのが遅すぎた。それとも早すぎた。盾を作られる前に撃てばよかった。それとも正面からじゃ無謀すぎた。
Did I fire too late? Did I fire too early? Should I have shot before it made that shield? Was it too reckless to shoot head on?
どっちでもいい。
Who cares?
一層、二層、再起動。急いで。
First layer. Second layer, reactivate. Hurry! There was no time to think or hesitate. The magical energy throughout the park began to gather. Aoko knelt, across from the tyrannical face of the moon. Aoko instituted, or, wait, what? Aoko, fuck man. Okay, here we go. Aoko noticed that the ice had yet to fully form. I'm just not going to bother saying that word. Flat Snark still had not reached its full strength. Which is exactly why...
まずい、まずい、まずい、まずい!
Damn it, damn it, damn it! By accelerating the spell, Aoko had damaged her own body. Aoko sat up and braced for the pain caused by the load placed on the formula after linking it with the Snark. All she could do was endure it. All because...
あの氷、私のマックスよりもっと上だ!
That ice is tougher than my best shot. Aoko had gone a read on the relative strengths. Even if its volume of magical energy was identical, Snark's form, its mystic, was in a different league. Even if Aoko had charged her magic, her energy to her absolute limit, she could barely make a dent in the wall of ice. And I think I made a pretty big dent into the story so far, so we're gonna save. Alrighty. I think that's where we're gonna end it today, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you did enjoy. We still have yet to see what the Mr. Dumpty is gonna do to Sojiro. And let's see, what is that familiar figure that Sojiro saw in the distance? Is it the puppet? Ready to fucking, I don't know, like merge with Aoko to fucking destroy this fucking thing? Again, because this looks sick. This is a sick fucking screenshot right here. I might do that. I might screenshot that. That's pretty sick. Again, they call it gold, but it's green, but you know, whatever. But that's going to be it for today's video. We'll see what happens next time when I play this. So, hopefully you guys did enjoy, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. This is your boy White Album. I'll see you guys next time.